Welcome to the 30-Minute Hour. It's the weekly podcast where we discuss business, sports, politics, and whatever's on our mind. I'm your host, Eric Twiggs. I'm your procrastination prevention partner. Joining me as always is my partner in crime. You know him as the super CEO, the business strategist extraordinaire, and all-around good guy, Ted Fells.
Good evening, all.
All right. And again, Ted, I have to say, I continue to be impressed with how you consistently step up your virtual game.
Right.
Better and better. You're taking it to another level.
You set a standard that many will never reach.
And by the way, those that may be listening to the mobile podcast app, they have no idea what we're talking about, Ted.
That's right.
Sometimes they may just have to come to the Facebook Live page and check us out live. We do this live and we broadcast on audio. We have a special guest. We will introduce her shortly. And this is really going to be an exciting and inspirational show. But before we go there, a couple of things we need to talk about. As you know, those of you that are following the What Now movement, you know, today was Motivational Monday, and we had an inspirational video done by Genesis Amaris Kemp. You know, she was a previous guest on the 30-Minute Hour podcast. She did a fantastic job talking about moving from the pit to the palace. You watch that, you're gonna be ready to run through a wall and make it happen. So make sure you go to the What Now movement Facebook group and check it out for yourself. Motivational Monday, every day, different video. 12 noon. Ted, anything you wanted to add to that?
No, as you said, Genesis did a great job. Got the week kick started off on the right foot. So yeah, definitely at noon. Check out the various live updates that we have out there, where you'll never know who you may see at noon.
You just never know. And then also we've got our sponsor for the week.
Sponsor for the week.
That's right, Ted. Our sponsor for the week, it is Vision and Purpose Magazine. You have to check that out. It's Vision and Purpose Magazine. You can go to their website. It's vnpmagazine.com, founded by Dr. Sharon H. Porter and Karen McConnell Jones. They feature entrepreneurs, people in education, career professionals. They have a monthly digital magazine that comes out. You must check it out. They even have a podcast.
Wow.
The VMP.
Wait. They got a podcast.
So when people aren't listening to the 30-Minute Hour, Ted, or watching the 30-Minute Hour, they can watch VMP, listen to the VMP podcast.
Absolutely. All right.
That's right. Dr. Sharon is obviously a friend of the show, and she is our co-partner in the What Now movement. But she's definitely, they're our sponsor for the week. We constantly get questions about how do you be a sponsor for the 30-Minute Hour page or the 30-Minute Hour podcast. Just email me at eric@ericmtwiggs.com for more information.
Eric, people stop me all the time. Like, how can I be a sponsor for the 30-Minute Hour podcast? I'm glad that you put that information out there for our listeners, because everyone wants to know.
Yeah, I mean, it's the burning question. So I figure I'd answer the question. So that way you can move on with your life.
Right. Move on.
You guys are hysterical.
See, my guest had that question. She's like, you know what? I want a sponsor.
There you go.
And now Eric has answered my question. Well, as you can see, this is not your everyday podcast.
No.
Right? This is different. We're a little different.
We definitely do it a little different here.
That's right. And you can go to our Facebook Live page, like I mentioned earlier. You can also go to our website, the30minutehour.net, where you can listen to the audio and watch some of the YouTube videos that we have and really see everything that we've got going on here with the podcast. But it's not your everyday podcast. Make sure that you check us out. So Ted. Oh, Ted.
Is Ted awake?
Yes, Ted is here. I guess you're about to tell me you have something on your mind.
That's right, Ted. I have something that's on my mind.
What do you have on your mind, Aaron?
Okay. So I want to talk to you for a moment, and this really ties into our guest and what she talks about. She has this great TED talk. I want to talk about surrendering to your purpose. That's right. Surrendering to your purpose. And I'm reading this book for like the third time because it's so inspirational for these times. It's called The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. And in it, he tells this story. And when I came across this, I thought about our guest and our show today. The story is told of a farmer and his horse.
Okay.
So one day, the horse runs away. And the farmer's neighbor comes over and says, "Oh my goodness, I'm sorry about your horse." To which the farmer replies, "Who knows what's good or bad?" So the next day, the horse comes back, bringing with him 12 additional horses.
Wow.
So the neighbor's like, "Wow, congratulations on your good luck." Then the farmer replies, "Who knows what's good or bad?" So the following day, while attempting to tame one of the wild horses, the farmer's son gets thrown and breaks his leg. Neighbor comes over. "Oh, sorry to hear about your son." Ted, you'll never guess what the farmer replied. He said, "Who knows what's good or bad?" So that following day, the army came through town. They were looking for some able-bodied young men to go fight in the war. And as it turns out, the son was spared because of his broken leg.
Wow.
Right? So here's the big takeaway. And here's the thing, this really ties into surrendering to your purpose. Everything is happening for you, not just to you. That's really the key thing. I mean, it's critical that we embrace this idea. And if we do, it helps us to be able to surrender to our purpose, right? Now, you look back on your broken leg experiences and you realize that falling off the horse was really part of a bigger plan. And you wouldn't be where you are had that not happened. That's it. And this really transitions into what we're going to talk about with our guest, and I'm excited. So she delivered a TED Talk titled Leading Through Surrender to Soul Purpose back in 2013. She's the founder and CEO of the Tigerly Foundation and a 14-year survivor of breast cancer. She's a leader in the women's health and disparities field. She works on with local and national and global health policy. She's appeared on USA Today, US News and World Report, Black Enterprise, Oprah Magazine, just to name a few. She's also been featured on Fox 5, ABC 7, CBS, The Oprah Winfrey Show, OWN, Good Morning America, and the Today Show. She is somebody.
Oh, she's definitely somebody.
Absolutely. So again, I already told you about her TED Talk, Leading Through Surrender to Soul Purpose. It was powerfully received. She is the host of the Pure Bliss podcast. Please join me in welcoming to the 30-minute hour, Mayma Karmo.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me today.
Welcome.
I'm thrilled to be here and to share, learn, and commune with two of you and your audience.
Absolutely. It is an honor and a privilege.
I have a friend too, my puppy. She's
Oh,
Oh, wow.
that is
Sugar.
awesome.
Her name's Sugar.
All right, Sugar.
So yes, let's dig in.
Let's dig in. Let's get it. So I have to tell you, Mima, I watched your TED talk, and just in my life, I do this all the time, looking at TED talks, looking at inspirational videos. I felt you sometimes you feel like you get to a point where you've heard it all, but I watched your TED talk and I was totally inspired, and it really grabbed my attention. And I just want to first start off by thanking you for sharing that and doing that. But you talk about a dream you had when you were 6 years old. Can you share that with the audience and ultimately talk about how that shaped your path and your life?
Yeah. So, well, thank you for the introduction. It's beautiful. I often when I hear people, doing my introduction, I'm like, who's that amazing person they're talking about? Because I'm just kind of, to me, I'm just a girl, doing her thing,
Right.
and making a difference in the world. So thank you for that beautiful introduction. So I had a dream when I was a child, and in the dream I was talking to God, and it was a beautiful feeling. I literally felt myself sitting with God, and it felt comforting and warm. And what I got out of the dream is that I was going to always be protected, that I would be given work to do. I may not know what the work would be at first, but just to follow what God said, whether it was a feeling in my gut or a word I heard, but I would know when it was God's voice, and to keep following that voice and that path. And it would lead me in weird places I wouldn't expect, but to know that I'm here for a purpose, and just to follow that path. At the time I was in Liberia, that's where I was born, West Africa. And I had no idea that my life would change dramatically in just a few years. So God was kind of, in the dream, I felt, preparing me for what was to come, because what was to come was going to be a tumultuous, next couple of decades. But really, what the dream set me up for in that relationship with God that I had was a knowingness that whatever came my way, to use that for a bigger purpose than just myself. And so we'll share more about the things that have happened, but whatever came my way, I always ask God, how do I use this pain for purpose? How do I serve you during this time? So the dream really was kind of the foundation principle of my life, that knowing that God was here, God was with me, and to feel that grace around me all the time. Noah was there. And there are times in our lives when we don't feel like we have God around, when we feel lost and afraid and alone. And sometimes we get so into what you want for yourself, like the story you just told. Maybe you want something, it doesn't work out that way, and you forget to feel God, but He's always there. And it's just kind of moving back into a quiet space and saying, "Are you there?" And God's like, "What's up? Yeah, hello." And then just knowing that whatever is happening is, it may not be pleasant, but it's for your own growth and your soul growth. It may not be for your human growth, but to me, the soul is the most powerful thing. So how can you look at what's happening to translate that into what your soul needs to grow, not what your ego needs to grow? So that's what that dream did for me at 6 years old.
That's a pretty deep dream at 6 years old. I was dreaming about going to Major League Baseball.
Yeah, well, it wasn't that deep at 6 years old. It was more like, what just happened? Is that true? Is that real? And then the war broke out 2 years later in Liberia. The war broke out when I was 8, and then another war when I was 12 and I was 15. People were, shot, their dead bodies all over the place, and it was all, people I knew, my parents' friends were executed, and so literally, like, the dream, when it happened, I was 6. I was like, whatever, I love God. Yeah, we'll see. But it must have been a dream. And then as my life began to unfold, I was like, when I was held at gunpoint at, like 12, like, there are things where I'm like, okay, God is here. God is here. Grace is here. There's an incident in my book I wrote called Fearless, where my brother and I were stopped, and we were, held at gunpoint, one night during the curfew. We were teenagers. We were young, wanted to go party, preteens.
Mm.
And we forgot that they had a curfew, and we were stopped, and we were young, we were so young. And they stopped us, and all they saw was this young girl and a young boy in a nice car. And when you find rich people, or people you think are richer than you or better than you, in their minds we were rich, in a nice car, and the soldiers were, they were poor and not as well educated, and they're angry about what they didn't get or what they should have, whatever. What happens is typically you're raped, killed, and or cut to pieces, and people don't ever see you again. So these are things that when I was we went to a party, had a great time, missed the curfew, like the blockade, timed by whatever was 20 minutes, half an hour. And next thing, we're surrounded by soldiers, and there's guns pointed at us.
Mm.
And, I go back to my dream and being so afraid. And then just saying, in myself, like in my heart, like God is here, like grace is around me, like, this is not going to be the end. And literally, the story you mentioned earlier, Eric, was so powerful, because what my father was a commodities trader, and he had a practice of giving people, his dad was a farmer. He was a first generation college student, right? So when he made it, he actually owned a rice company. He would import and export certain things, and people would come to him, and he would give them free rice all the time. And people in our family would sometimes say, "You're giving away all this rice, you're giving away too much." But it just so happened that one people that he gave rice to multiple times, free rice for his family, was one of the guys. When they stopped us to take our jewelry and rape and or kill, both of us, someone said, "I know that car. That person's been good to me. Let his kids go." And
Wow.
so, and that's kind of why the story was so powerful for me, because there are things that happened to me multiple times where I'm like, I've surpassed my lives, right? And I know that in God. And so I tell the story to people because I wanted to understand the importance of having a relationship with God. And also, when you never know who you're being kind to and how it's going to come back to you. So my father's kindness to these people who were strangers saved my brothers in my life.
Wow.
And it happened more than one time. So
Man.
That's incredible. And so, like, the talk is titled "Leading Through Surrender to Soul Purpose." Can you really kind of spell out what that means and how you came up with that title specifically?
well, I feel like a lot of people in this world chase the wrong things. So when you watch a baby being born, it's this beautiful thing. It's in the mother's belly, and it just so unshaped, right?
Mhm.
And then it's born, and then it begins to learn about it learns about ego, learns about what's appropriate, learn what's right. But literally, when a child's born, they're not breathing, and the child slapped whatever is shaken, whatever they wake, not shaken, but it takes a deep breath, right? And it inhales spirit, it inhales life, it inhales soul, and so we forget that over time. We're taught that, kids are taught to be, sometimes be quiet and don't speak up too much, or you should be this, and this means that, and here's how the world's structured. This is what's appropriate for you to do, or else you're not going to be accepted. And that dream I had really, had a really powerful impact on me. So whatever I did in life, at first being a first generation, refugee in this country, immigrant rather, and refugee, I pursued the American dream. I wanted to have that car, the house, the, 1.5, 2.5 kids, and all of that. So I forgot about the dream. I began chasing, the dream, because my parents, when the war happened, the last war happened in 1985, we lost everything. So I forgot the part of me that was my soul, which was always asking what am I here to do? And so after, learning I had aggressive breast cancer, for which there was no targeted treatment, it really brought me back to that conversation with God and like what's important. And how do I lead in whatever I do in this world? At the time I was working for a GovCon company. And the leadership was just get your work done. And it wasn't really about passion and purpose. And so the TED Talk for me was about when I stepped into my rightful passion, which was inspiring women and providing them with transformational programs through Tiger Lily Foundation. My soul opened up. And because my soul opened up, I began to receive a lot of downloads and a lot of inspiration and meeting amazing people. And the more I served and did God's work in the world, the more my world expanded. So like if people ask me, well, how'd you get on Oprah, 2 or 3 times? How'd you get on and this and that. I don't know how those things happen. It was just by me, opening my heart and soul and asking God to pour into me so I can pour into the world and lead by soul purpose, from a place of soul and spirituality and transformation and integrity and authenticity, not about making money or being whatever, just really, serving people to make a difference in their lives. And so that's kind of every experience I've had. I've always, because life can break you sometimes, right? It can make you think that you want to give up. And there are times when I would think, why is this happening to me? Like, God, I've proven over and over again, I love you, I'm here. And then I get another obstacle or a challenge. And I'm like, nope, I'm not going to get knocked down. I'm going to serve. And the more my soul opened up when I led, the more things happened that were powerful. And so the meaning of the TED Talk was really about leading from a place of soul purpose and letting your soul guide you. Because when you live in a place that's really authentic and true for you and why you're here, nothing can stop you. And almost impossible things can happen that you don't expect, and actually wonderful things. So that was the theme of the TED Talk.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And surrendering to that, not knowing. I don't always know what I'm going to do next. I just trust. I literally trust God, and I just make these gut decisions, and I go with them, and then magic happens.
So, what advice do you have? We have followers, people watching us right now that don't know what their purpose is in life, and they want to find their purpose. What advice do you have for that person that's looking to find their purpose?
I would say you got to stop and listen to yourself. Listen to, what brings you joy. My purpose, I pursued certain things. I always tried new things. People have an idea of, this is the right thing for me to do, or this will make me a lot of money, or this looks popular. I was never a popular kid. I was actually a nerd. I got bullied all the way through elementary, middle, and high school. So I was a total nerd, liked to read books, didn't like to go out, didn't want to have boyfriends. I just wanted to study, read, learn, and make the world a better place. And that's not very popular when you're in school, right? I didn't belong to any kind of cliques or groups. And so I would say, learn yourself. People have a hard time being alone. I think that what COVID's done for many people is forced them to be alone with themselves. Some people, they can't stand it. But I think for me, time to time to reflect, time to, to meditate with God, that really gives you a sense of like, the answer's already inside of you, right? But it's layered over with expectations from your family members, or the idea that if I do this job, I'll make money, or I can't make money doing that, it's not going to work. Like my mother and I had talked when I was little. I said, Mommy, I want to love for a living, love people and make them happy and inspire them and give them hope. And she's like, well, that's great, honey, but how are you gonna make money and take care of your family and take care of yourself? And then guess what I do that's what I do now. I love for a living. And so I would say, find time to be alone and reflect, for one. Have people in your space that dream impossible, big dreams like you do. Like all my close friends are like, they're all people that they're just such dreamers, but they dream things that haven't happened yet. They make them happen. They're innovators. So have people around you who think like you, or who think bigger than you, who will pull you up, who will never guess you or doubt you. And spend time honing your craft. So let's say you like doing something that's out of the box. Don't discount that, delve into it, invest your time in it. And you'd be surprised at what you find. My background wasn't public speaking or writing. It was more, I was doing government contracting. I do consult now here and there, but my background was nothing near what I'm doing right now. But I kind of kept allowing myself to experiment with new things and try new things and think out of the box. And I realized that I had all these gifts and talents I didn't know, right? So, but it was out of the box thinking constantly, and having God push me, and me going, really, God, are you serious right now? So just being open to surrendering to that purpose, surrendering to your soul, is what I think. I'm kind of just, a little bit blowing, but, sitting back in your own space, contemplating, having people around you who will pull you higher and who will empower you, and, thinking out of the box, and also trying new things, because that's what got me where I am. I literally left my full-time job to begin Tiger Lily with no money, no idea about running a foundation, no idea about building a board, no idea about how to build programs and media campaigns. And it just was just like, it was my heart, my love leading the work, right? And then when I surrendered to soul purpose and that love led me, and that grew my business. And of course, with that came, you know, getting staff and getting funding. But my point is that, you know, my truth is what led to my passion and me making that passion, you know, alive in the world today. So that's my advice to people who are watching.
That's awesome. That's something that's great advice. We are here on the 30-minute hour podcast with Mayma Karmo, and we're talking about purpose and surrendering to your soul purpose. I know we've got quite a few people watching us now. Say hello. You want to ask a question. You want to comment. You compliment Ted on his upgraded virtual game
Background.
You can do that. But now, go ahead, Ted.
No, I mean, Mayma has turned this into just the Mayma Tiger Lily show, because I've just been, and I've known Mayma for probably 15 years, and I know a lot of this, but every time I hear her talk about the story, it's just like it just pulls you in, and just her energy is just always like this. I don't think I've ever seen her upset. She's just kind of Miss Positive all the time. So
thank you. I think it's, you know, when you're in that alignment place, you don't really, when you're in that zone, like you're in a different level of, you know, people are operating here and you're like up here, you're watching going, I see you, but you're just like different levels. So different things bother me. Things like, you know, having people I love who are, you know, metastatic with breast cancer, or thinking about how to be innovative as we go through COVID to give people who are women of color, who are in underserved communities, more access to healthcare, and how to change health systems that aren't working. Those things upset me. And so, you know, today I was really like stressed, like thinking, you know, we're going into another wave of COVID, and, you know, I love my patients. Many of them are my friends now. I give them my cell phone number, which people say, don't do that, but I love them. These are people that are struggling with something that's really difficult. And many of them are facing, you know, they're stage 4 breast cancer patients. Many are not, but many are. And, you know, for me, the faster we can get to innovation and support and services for these women, that could lead to them living 6 months longer, a year longer, 2 years longer. So I got up thinking, you know, there's, how do I innovate the next level of something that's not even there yet? Because we have another year of this maybe, you know. And if you're living in a rural community without, you know, the right kind of internet or the right kind of screening services and the right kind of support structures, you know, people who are facing disparities will have worse disparities after COVID, during COVID and after. And so those kind of things bother me. People that are like, you know, ignorant or annoying, but my focus is on serving other people. And those things, like when I see inequity or injustice, those things like upset me. But things that people do that are like petty, I don't really see them because they don't matter to me. They just don't. It's like, thank you, goodbye.
So focused on purpose.
Like, I am. Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so you're a 14-year cancer survivor. Talk about how your experience having and overcoming cancer impacted your perspective.
Well, when I got diagnosed with breast cancer, you know, I was in my prime. You know, I just thought I was like invincible. A lot of women think at certain ages they can't get breast cancer and it won't happen to them. I had no history in my family of cancer. I was working at for a big golf cart company, making a lot of money for my age. I was probably the senior one of the top people in my positions at that company. I had a house, I had investment. I was like, you know, I was golden and I was on top of the world. I mean, you know, and then next thing you know, I find a lump and then I'm thinking, no, you know, whatever. And then after, you know, pushing for a screening, I find out it's breast cancer. Not only is it breast cancer, but it's aggressive and it's growing really fast. And it's the kind that they didn't have any kind of targeted treatment for. So, you know, imagine that 1 minute you're on cloud 9, next minute you're thinking, shit, this is it. I could die, you know? My daughter was 3 years old. I was scared out of my mind. I was just in shock for a while. And then I would say I looked at my daughter and I thought, what can I do to make the world better for her, you know, however long I'm here for. And how can I go back to the conversation that God and I had when I was 6? Like, I need to go back to that conversation and ask, and say, are you here? God, are you here? And if you are, can you please help me figure out how to serve other people at this time? And so, it was like a shock, but I literally like went through a period of mild depression. Then I threw a big party for my friends and family. And then I just began my treatment, and I went through my treatment with, nice wig on, makeup, and, 3-inch heels. And I wasn't going to go like that. I went looking like $1,000,000. And, but what it did for me was I realized the beauty of life. Like, life is so beautiful, and it's so rich, it's so finite. And so it gave me this incredible passion for living my life, and in a way that's meaningful. A lot of people, waste their lifetime. They waste it on, gossiping, or on the internet for, or social media for 8 hours a day, or they're looking at what the person's doing. They're having FOMO. It's all this other stuff. And it gave me this laser sharp focus, cancer did, of knowing that I have limited time. What can I do in this time to change the world so that it's better after I leave it than when I got here? And so it really propelled me into my purpose, and leaving a job that was really secure and saying goodbye to 6 figures and hello to nothing. But that nothing became something really powerful, more than I imagined. I never imagined writing books and being on Oprah, but more so, never imagined having the capacity to help women all over the world and change policy and create these global campaigns. That was never on my agenda. But to your point, the story you said in the beginning, you think you have to say, okay, this is what I have right now, and I will deal with this, and I will make this, into a beautiful thing. And so I took my cancer diagnosis and I transformed that, into not being a victim, but being a victor of life. And now we're literally, I have a team of that's pretty substantial, and we're now global and making an impact with patients all over the world, and I love it. So cancer really made me, it transformed me into somebody who really knew how to appreciate her life and other people's lives, and how to make that life meaningful. And when say your life's a cup, right? Like a cup. When you look at your end, when you come to your last day, like, how much of the time do you want to see it filled with anger or stress or jealousy or wasted time? And how much do you want to see it filled with compassion and kindness? So I always see my life as a cup, a bowl, whatever you think you want to use. How will you fill that bowl up with things that are meaningful, powerful, joyful, and and that's kind of how cancer just really pushed me to see life differently than before. So it was I don't think I would wish cancer on anyone, not at all. But for me, my life is totally changed. I've lost people I love, and lost my friend, my soul twin, 3 months ago, 3 months and about 10 days. So there's loss, right? But then you have a passion to do more and give more and be more. So those are ways that it's really changed my life.
Yeah, that's excellent. And so based off of your experience with cancer, I mean, what advice do you have for that person who's battling cancer now? And maybe they're afraid, they don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. What advice do you have for them?
I would say that, nobody's time here is promised, whether you have cancer or not. Cancer just puts things in perspective for you and gives you that kind of a timeline, right? That you can't waste any more time. So I would say that, you're not alone. There are groups like Tiger Lily that provide people with so much support. Like, we offer, my friend, my soul twin, Catherine, who passed away. She inspired me to create a program called the Pure Cat Initiative. So we now offer patients about 15 programs, 15 activities during the week while they're at home alone. So there are other patients on those webinars who are, we do Zumba, fitness, we do meditation, we discuss managing anxiety and stress. We have a ballet one, Pilates, pajama parties. We do a dance party on the weekends on Instagram. So, I think breast cancer can give you a whole new community, or any kind of cancer, of people that really are like you, that have purpose and passion. I love all my friends and family, but people who don't understand cancer, who haven't been through that path, they don't get what it's like to have cancer. And so I always say you will have a new set of friends that really get you and really get how beautiful and powerful and finite life is, and they live life to the fullest. I mean, my friends who have cancer, they don't play around. They're just, one of my other friends passed away 10 years ago, and this girl did more in 5 years than the average person does in a lifetime. She traveled, she had fun, she had parties. I mean, she lived her life. And when she passed, I was with her in that time of transition, not the last day, but I was with her a lot. And I've got other friends who passed away, and their regret is not having more time to do that, more of the fun things. But they did everything they wanted to do in those 5 or 10 years. So I would tell the person that's watching with cancer, first of all, you're not alone. Second of all, you need to figure out who your new people are, your tribe, your cancer tribe. As I can help you find them. I have tons of friends in the cancer space. And how do you use your life now for something bigger than just, an egoic type, like work? How can you find your soul purpose at this time and live that purpose? And you can survive cancer. So don't think of it as a death sentence. Many people survive cancer. I have friends who survived cancer who were stage 1, 2, or 3 who are still here. Friends who are stage 4 patients, and friends of mine who have survived having stage 4 cancer for up to 20 years. So it's just, and also be a part of the solution. A lot of people oftentimes they're like, well, I have cancer, I don't have this or that. Well, how can you fix the system that's not working? How can you be part of the solution and make a difference in others' lives? And so find that soul purpose and go for it,
Excellent, excellent. And so your foundation is the Tiger-Lily Foundation.
Tiger Lily.
Tiger Lily, oh geez.
Tiger Lily. Tiger, Tig, make it the 2 L's, Lily.
Tiger Lily Foundation.
Don't give it a whole new name now.
Right, trying to change the name.
I'm like, who Tiger Lee at? Who's that? Who that?
Right. Eric, create your own foundation. Don't be trying to rename Maymoss Foundation.
Don't be innovative on the spot here. So,
Right.
how did you come up with that name, first off? And then I want you to talk about what's the mission of the organization?
So Tiger Lily represents a flower. So when the woman, I love the one called the Stargazer Lily. It's really beautiful. It's really fragrant. And it's a perennial. So when you get diagnosed with breast cancer, you have to have surgery, mostly surgery, radiation, and or chemotherapy. And you can lose, like a flower, when the flower is going through different seasons, the petals fall off in the fall. In the wintertime, the flower is dormant. But in spring and summer, the flower blooms again. It rises and blooms and is beautiful and smells amazing. So, when I went to different cancer organizations for support, or I was looking around, it's all like cancer, death, fear, risk. And it was so scary to me. And I wanted people to have a place to come to where they would open the site, the page, and think about hope and potential and transformation. So the flower it represents woman's ability that she could be beautiful, strong, and transform through breast cancer, so that she wouldn't go into it with this fear-based emotion and energy, but with one of like, okay, this is happening right now. I am not cancer, it's happening to me, but I can transform my life throughout this process and have hope.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And so in addition to, you've got this foundation, you do the speaking, you also host these manifest events. Talk about that.
I love those. So can you tell? Well, I love people, and people I meet through different events and speaking and other things. And people often tell me like their personal stories, and they'll say, don't tell anybody, or they'll tell me, just their challenges. And so, that people that just live their life like this, like on this plain zone of like just, plateau, will come to me a lot, or just say I have an idea, or I'm struggling with this or that. But my answer was the same. It's like, how do you figure out what makes your soul sing, right? And so Manifest was a way to help people to kind of to manifest their soul purpose, right? How do you get there? It's having a tribe that vibes with you, a tribe that connects with you, that can support you in rising higher. Is having access to an energy that's keeping you high or on the right track. Is having people around you who think the way you do as well. And so the first one I was thinking I just thought I'd try this thing out. because I have a lot of friends who we just get together and talk about spirituality and growth and mindset and energy and what our purpose is. And we leave those sessions feeling so full and soulful and so full and so filled. And so I thought people should feel this energy all the time. And so I had the first event as a test, and it blew up. And I'm like, oh my, people are in the hall waiting, to come in. And we had to bring in more chairs, and they were standing room only. And so I thought, well, I'll try it again, see what happens. And the bigger room filled up. And so they kept growing until we got into a conference room, like a ballroom. And so Manifest is all about people coming together. And we have talks of like panels, discussions around topics like manifesting your best self or manifesting the way, manifesting the answer. So we picked different topics to talk about during the panel discussion portion. And people give these TED talks around what they would manifest around that topic. Then we do a workshop around it. We workshop, we have booklets people get, and they workshop through how to work through their, different things they want, whether it's business, personal, and they build community as well. So that over time, Manifest has really grown, and it's turned into this conference that is really powerful. And so this year, COVID kind of got us stopped in our tracks a little bit, but we're going to launch online in the next couple of weeks. So look out for Manifest online, by August, September timeframe.
Excellent. And again, so what advice do you have for our followers? They're looking to they want to live the life they were born to manifest. And that's one of the things you help people with. What advice do you have along those lines?
I have so much advice, but I would just say, figure out what brings you joy, right? So for me, people think I'm nuts. I work relentlessly. I love what I do, but I love it. It's not work to me. It's like I literally can get up in the morning and think about people with cancer and what they need and how to empower them, inspire them, and fix, eliminate barriers to care and access and transform systems. And that gives me, I am high doing that kind of work. It's so much fun to me. So figure out what brings you joy and where you can employ your talents, right? So my talents are, obviously I'm very passionate, you can tell. So I didn't like speaking in public at first at all, but when something makes you passionate, you can share about it and you're in it. It comes out naturally. Find whatever can make you expand yourself and your talents. So again, I like to write a lot. So when you're shy and you're a nerd, you read and you write, right? And so those things that people would tease me about when I was a kid became my superpowers, my ability to feel people and to write and to see things different ways. And so think about things that you may be dismissing as your gifts and talents that you take for granted, and figure out how to make those things ways you can, be, that could be your sole purpose, or that you can monetize to create your business. But basically it's like, what makes you happy, gives you a lot of joy. What can you do that's work but won't seem like work? What are you really good at that you're just missing, that you can turn into a business idea or a concept? And then what can you do that puts you with people that are like-minded, that are like you? So within my team members are all like me. They're all people that are like sole purpose, passionate. They're like love bugs. We say I love you on team calls. Like we say that. It's who I am, right? It's none of this, thank you for your time, have a good day, see you at the next meeting. It's like, love you, girl, bye, kisses. That's so my whole life about people like that who are just very, soul-filled and joy-filled and authentic. And, we had calls sometimes when one person's like having a bad day. So we're like, okay, stop the meeting. What do you need? We're going to give you all our attention. So the meeting is stopped. What do you need in your life right now? And so we really live in a way that's like, it's humanistic and it's caring versus just making money or just having a business. And so back to my point about people you want to be around should be like-minded and bring you the joy that you need, and where you're not leaving your house and putting on this armor to go to work. We're going to your job. You don't have to put a mask on or put this face on. You can just go to work being yourself. And that's not always true in all businesses. You can't always do that, but how can you bring some of that, who you are, into your business or to your passion to manifest it?
So I've known Mayma for years, and Mayma does so many different things. Mayma, can you tell us what your your average day is like. When do you wake up and kind of when do you go to
Oh my
sleep?
God.
Kind of walk us through that.
My day, they're never the same. So first thing in the morning, I do a lot of energy work. So I get up in the morning, I tell God, I'm like, I'm still alive. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm here. That's my first prayer is like, thank you. And then I look at the sky, look at the morning coming, like coming to life, the world coming to life. I do morning devotional and prayer every morning. And then I meditate for almost 45 minutes where I do stillness work, and I do stillness meditation. I do active meditation. So stillness is when you get your mind to be centered and calm and still, and the active is more kind of, feeling your body through and feeling where there's, any kind of pain or need or emotion. If you're stressed or worried, your chest could feel tighter, like, so I kind of feel my body and how it feels. Like I kind of just tap into how my different levels of my body feel, different parts of it, and send it love and gratitude. I journal a little bit. Excuse me. I journal as well. I do some yoga in the morning, a little bit of yoga and stretching. Then I run about 5 miles, and then I train with a trainer, and then my day starts. So I get up about 6:30. So I like getting up where I can just lay there for a while. I don't believe in getting up where I'm like the alarm clock's on and I got to get up and shower and run. I just can't do that. So my days start around 10 o'clock, 10:30. The best days start at 11 o'clock. I also carve days out where I don't work. They're called thinking days, made my days rather. So days where I just can think through things and, and so, and then my day starts. I have calls back to back, with potential funders or with patients or with partners. I'm working on grants. I'm doing interviews. I did Essence Fest last week, so I did that, recorded for that. I write, I like to write. So I wrote a book one time in a weekend, and I got published. That came out last month, Unicorn Boss. So, there's, my days there's, my energy work and my soul work and my mental work first. Then so that's the first thing. That's the most important thing. Then there's physical work, that honoring my body, and that's really important to me. And then honoring my charity work through Tiger Lily, and making time just to write. So I, have time just to write, or do a podcast recording, getting over a cough, excuse me, do a podcast recording, or something that gives me that where it's just me expressing myself, whether it's I love doing sound bowls. They're like singing bowls. They're bowls that make the music. I do that a lot as well. So I kind of have, again, spirituality. So mind and spirit, then body, and then my passion, my soul purpose work. And I kind of have little breaks to meditate throughout the day. So I pause, I have alarms on for 12 o'clock check-in, or 10, 12, 2, and 4. So I'm stopping to just see if am I happy? Am I breathing? Am I in a space that's good for me? Because I don't want to be working all day and just be like this all day. And day's over, I'm exhausted. I've done that before, but I find that that's not a mindful way to work, right? So I really have these checkpoints to stop and think about, how I'm living my life and how I'm, going through my days. And then when it gets to evening time, if I'm really, really stressed, I'll run some more, go for a walk maybe. And then my daughter, she's 17. So we're very close, but she's, I'm working all day in the house. So we have dinner together quite often. We'll cook and sit on the deck, or go out to eat dinner and just sit down and talk, go for walks together. And then the evening time is just more being mommy, like time with her, watching movies. I almost didn't get to be here. So people find their teenagers very annoying. I love my teenager. Even when she's making me nuts, I'm like, I'm so mad right now, but I still love you more than anything else in the whole world. So I get to be here, right? So I appreciate that time with her. And then I read sometimes. So it just depends. I do have days where I just do total self-care. Like on Sunday, I just literally didn't talk to anybody. Actually, I had one phone call, and I just stayed in bed and slept the whole day. So it's important to have those days where you're just taking care of yourself. And people would say to me, what are you doing today? I'm like, I'm busy all day. I'm busy. And they'll say, doing what? If they're my friends, really close friends. I'm like, doing nothing. oh, you want to hang out? No, I said I'm busy. I'm doing me today. That's all I'm doing. Where are you in the bathtub? What about next? I'm in, in the bed, and next, can I come over? No, I don't want to. I just want to be in the bed by myself. Just not doing, just being a human being, not a human doing. So I go hard, but I spend time just kind of saying to God, like, just, hang out with me. Let's just chill. In those days, I drink a lot of water. So I have like a gallon of water by the bed or two, and I just drink and eat clean and sleep. So my body gets to really restore itself and rest and hydrate. And so I think if you're going to go hard, you have to find ways to balance that out with honoring your body. So I really focused on integrating that holistic balance for myself,
Yeah, that's interesting. That's one of the Ted. Now we asked
Did
this.
that answer your question, Ted, or was that too much?
So, well, I've worked with Maymar for years, and now I know why, Maymar, when I call you at 8 or 8:30, you never answer the phone for me. So you're not available till 10 o'clock is what you tell them.
Well, because if people, do that and you start compromising on your life and your health, then they'll do that all the time. And then you realize you're operating under that person's, like they're running your life. So it's not about the person. It's about me saying my life deserves to be honored, my time. My spirit needs time with God to wake up and to care for me. So when I finally call you back, I'm like, let's do this. I'm on, I get it done. So
I shouldn't be taking it personal, is what you're saying.
people take it, they'll say your voicemail's full and you don't answer it. And I'm like, yeah, it is full. I don't want a voicemail. I don't want to talk. I don't want to hear, hi, Mima, how are you doing? So I need help with that, or I don't want that. Just send me a text, send me an email because I think the world, it's people, people are like in overload because they're texting, they're emailing, they're leaving voice messages, they're sending DMs, you're getting DMs, you're getting on Facebook messengers. There's all this, there's TV and there's the internet. I'm a fan of minimizing different sources of media in my space. So, and if my voicemail is full, then you can text me or email me. I'll check my email twice a day and I'll check my text twice a day, or maybe more often if I'm busy on a project. But people just couldn't call whenever they want, or expect to just recall you whenever they want, or get you whenever they want, or it just, then they're being trained to not honor your life and your time. And I don't have that kind of time to waste or to not honor my life, So it's more saying to people, if you honor me, I can honor you when we're together. I'll give you my full attention and time, and I'll be more energized than getting up to talk at 8 a.m. when I'm not yet in that space that can give my best self to the world. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
I still take it kind of personal though that you don't answer when I call you at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm joking.
My parents know. Everyone who knows me knows to call me after like 10, because I have to have that time.
It's interesting how everyone kind of does their thing and kind of manage themselves. A couple of weeks ago, we had Walter Jones on, and he was talking. Remember, Eric? He was saying how he starts the day and he doesn't read. He said he doesn't read any emails from anyone. He just starts sending out stuff. He says he just starts giving out requests of things he wants done, but he's not responding to anyone until a certain time. And I think you have to do whatever works for you to be able to manage your time and manage your, kind of mental space and all of that. So that's good.
But if you read Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek, it's so powerful. He tells you how to manage your time. So like even out of office, I turn my send and receive off. So I put it, because people are emailing me constantly. So if it's on constantly, I'm hearing the ding, 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 ding. Or if your phone is on, we're getting the alerts and notifications, you won't be able to work. I see people I know when before COVID, they were looking down when the phone buzzes, down, 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 or looking at their phones if they have an Apple Watch, or if the computer dings, they look at the email. And so they end up being, the day's over, you haven't done any work, you've been more responsive than proactive in your work. So then you work all night long to get caught up for the next day. So I have days where I don't have any meetings and it's just me and my days. One day is for me to think, just to think and process or go for a walk, sleep in, whatever. Other days are to get work done, but some are for meetings. Some were at times where I can just, write grants. So it's all like organized. And then when I want to check my emails, I check them like, in the morning around like 10, maybe around like, 12 or 1, and then around, later in the evening. There are days when I break my own rules when it's really busy and I'm like, I got to get all this stuff caught up on. But on average, I kind of carve out time to where I'm in charge of my schedule, not other people. And if I don't respond for 3 weeks, then so be it. I have things I have to accomplish. But those are my priorities, not yours. You know what I mean? It's not personal. It's just kind of like I gotta get shit done. So 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 people that know me know my philosophy of living, and it's very intentional and very focused. And it's like, don't take it personally. I just want to make sure I honor my life. And being a cancer survivor with a kind of cancer that's, not yet designed treatments for, that's, it's, I have to be careful about my body and my stress levels and, just being happy. I don't want to waste my time. Whenever I lose somebody and or have people I love who are in transition from, with cancer, they literally, when we have these last talks, they're like, I wasted time on this, wasted time on that, I wasted this and that and the other. And if that's one lesson people who are dying have taught me, is that they don't want to regret making decisions that wasted their time. So, it seems really like a really intense answer, but I don't want to waste my time on things that are not important to me or at that moment. They'll be important when I get to it, but not at that moment. And I think people should take that approach to living their lives. Like, what's important to you? How do you prioritize yourself and your intentions and your soul purpose? And how do you live in that way that's meaningful? So that whenever you leave this planet, your cup is more filled with, like you're gonna miss being here, but you're not gonna feel like I regret all these different things. That's my point.
Yeah, so I think bottom line is either, you run your day or your day runs you.
Your day runs you. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, there's so many people I work with in the productivity space that their day is running them. They get that email and they're off, putting out the next fire. But I think
everyone's so like hair on fire. Everyone's like, I'm so busy. I'm like, and people say you're busy. I'm like, busy. I'm on purpose. I'm not busy. I'm quite content. It's all organized. It's just, it's on track. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
So how can our followers best connect with you?
So easy. One word, Mayma. So I'm Mayma Mom. And then there are links to all the events and all my books. I just published Unicorn Gloss, so that's out. And I recently published Divine Downloads as well. And I also have my other book, Fearless, on there, and the Badass Girls Book of Prayers. Those my four books. There's link to Tiger Lily Foundation. So that's is TIGER, Tiger Lily, not Lee, Tiger Lily Foundation.org.
Lily Ted.
But everything's not Lee, Tiger Lee. Lily. So it's Mayma.com on my for the internet website address, and it's Mayma Carmo on Instagram. It's Mayma Carmo on Facebook, and it's Mayma on Twitter. That's it.
So Mayma, can you spell Mayma Carmo for our viewers so they can make sure they have it correct?
Yes, thanks for watching, everyone. It's Mayma, Maimah, is my first name. Last name is Karmo. There you have it.
Fantastic. This has just been an outstanding interview. Now we're going to go around the horn, and this is where we each give everybody that final thought to remember. So we'll start with our guest of honor, Mayma. What's your final thought to leave the people with around the horn?
What am I doing now?
You're leaving a final thought.
Mayma has been leaving she's been dropping nuggets, final thoughts throughout this whole.
I know, right? It should be you guys. I've been dropping, wisdom the whole time. My final thought, I would say, not final, but just like, I would say, I don't know, what can I say? I would say, whatever you do, lead with love. And that permeates all that you do. When you lead with love, it really can change your life, your outcome. People around you can feel the energy and be changed by that. So lead with love.
That's awesome. Whatever you do, lead with love. Lead with love. Ted?
Lead with love.
Eric, I'm gonna do something different. Usually you put me in these situations where I have to go behind someone.
Mhm.
I can't go behind. Maymar has said so many things today. I'm just gonna just leave it at that.
You're
So,
cheating, Ted. You can't let him cheat, Eric.
Whatever's Maymar, lead with love.
Whatever
No.
she said. What she
Right,
said.
whatever she said. No, I just think it's just been good. Just kind of how Eric started off with the initial kind of story about just kind of looking at the positive side of everything. And I think that story was just so fitting with you as a guest because again, everything that you've talked about just from childhood, the things that you've faced, and just obstacles that you've been able to just take on head on. I mean, I think anyone that's listening to this podcast or watching, I mean, I think has been inspired by everything that you've said, and that no matter what your situation is, you may think that you're dealing with something, whether it's a health challenge or a financial challenge or whatever that challenge is. I think that you just basically have helped many to just think about this in a different perspective, put a different perspective on things. And so again, I've known you for years. You're, one of the nicest people I know, one of the most positive people that I know. And, I'm just proud to see you not only as a business partner, but as a friend. And I thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you, Ted. Thanks for your friendship and support.
Yeah, great comments, Ted. And as far as my final thought, so in the time management space, we have something that's called the planning fallacy, right? You probably heard this before, where we think, when we think about our tasks, we feel like we have more time than we really do. So it's hard for us to predict how long things are going to take. We think we have more time than we really do. But I think that's how life is. We mistakenly think that we have more time than we really do. And all it takes is to have a close friend pass away, or you go through a near-death experience, and it really puts everything back into perspective. And what I took away from this conversation is that we have to walk around, because technically we're all terminal. If you think about
It's
it,
life.
you just never know. We're all terminal. You just never know when your last moment's going to be. You don't know how long you really have to leave the legacy that you want to leave. And I think our interview really spelled that out, that we really have to seize the moment. And we have to, if there's something that's on your heart to do, if you feel called to something, you feel led to something, you have to do it, because tomorrow is not promised.
Indeed.
Yeah. So this has been awesome.
Absolutely.
I've enjoyed it. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate the time, the laughter, the sharing. It's really powerful.
And you have to promise us that you'll come back and visit us again real soon with you've done that thing where I feel like a loser. Like I'm trying to write a book and you just put up like a library of books, like, oh yeah, I got this one. I did this one over the weekend. I did this. So yes, I think
you're doing good things, I just produce things like at rapid pace. I think and I execute. So
you hear that, Eric? That's a nice way of saying, yeah. And you do a lot of things, but I execute and I just do stuff at a rapid pace. So
oh my God, I can't.
That made me feel better.
I'll just be quiet now.
Thank you so much.
You're running a company, you have your charity, you have a podcast. That's pretty awesome.
Thank you, Maymar, but I still feel like there's so much more I need to do.
And you will do it. That's good. Yeah.
And as you said before, you have those people in your circles that will stretch you. And so you're definitely a stretcher. So you make me think that there's so much more I can do. And Eric as well. So
thank you.
But Eric, you never say during our meetings or anything that, hey Ted, I love you or anything, like Maymar says they do in their group. Like, or how are you feeling, Ted? Like, you're like, okay, let's get started. Let's get going.
We don't have those love moments that you mentioned earlier. We don't.
No.
That's never come up as long as I've known you.
No, not at all.
We got to work on that.
We got to work on it. We'll work on it.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So we have a comment from one of our viewers who wanted to know what the name of the book that Mayma mentioned. Can you just go ahead and list your books again, just so everybody
Oh,
has?
so the most recent book is called Unicorn Boss,
Mhm.
Running Towards Bliss, Staying Authentic, Aligned, and Tap the FN. That's what it's called.
All right.
The Unicorn Boss. That's the most recent book. It's about leading with love and going through trauma and just kind of like life, like dealing with, because I mean, we talked about joy and bliss, but as a leader, there's a lot of challenges that we all have. And there come, people you lose, but that brings pain and, sadness, anxiety, depression. And I'm not going to say I've never been through those things. I have. The past 4 years were among the most difficult I've had, having people I love getting sick, many of people, and people that I love and who are my comfort, passing away. So, it was kind of like, it's about how you lead when you're falling apart and how you can learn to work in the dark, because you are the light, right? So if you're the light and it's dark around you, just keep moving 1 foot at a time, 1 breath at a time, and you'll get through it. So it talks about, me, like my organization grew like tenfold the past 4 years, but it grew at a time when I was like literally depressed for almost 4 years, like just overwhelmed with personal losses. But I also found I created what I called pockets of joy. So even when I was sad or stressed or going through a tough time, my daughter and I go for drives and make Snapchat videos in the car or get on TikTok and be crazy and silly. So like, it's about finding joy in the moment, because your life is what it is, whatever it is, whether you're up or down or it is life. And so during that time, I put together a really powerful self-care toolkit. And that's kind of why now I have these parameters to guard my mental and physical and emotional health. Divine Downloads is my book before the other one. And it really is it's called Transforming Through Trauma. It's a journal that helps people. It was my journal actually I would write I write a lot of poetry and little quotes. So my Instagram is all quotes. And so people would write to me and say, I saw your quote, it really inspired me. And so I took all the quotes and made them into a book, a journal. Before that, I wrote the Badass Girls Book of Prayers, and it's a badass book of prayers. It's simple, just sweet and simple. That I gave a copy away over the weekend. And my first book was called Fearless. And so those are all on Amazon. If people want a copy that's autographed, go to my site at mayma.com and buy from the site, and I'll get an email, to sign a copy and send that to you. So you can buy them directly from me as well and get an autographed copy in the mail.
Fantastic.
I also have unicorn decks online, and I have unicorn soul jewelry bracelets, and they're all inspirational content. And the decks have they have beautiful quotes on them about manifestation, and the jewelry is also about manifesting. So it's all like my life's about having things that are going to help me to transform my mindset. So everything I do and sell and support and promote is about mindset, spirituality, and finding your bliss in your authentic self. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. We certainly want to thank Mayma Karmo for being our guest on the 30 Minute Hour podcast.
Yeah.
Not your everyday podcast. Go to our website, the30minutehour.net. Catch us here on Facebook Live on the 30 Minute Hour podcast Facebook page. Don't forget to check out the What Now Movement group. Till next time, have a great one.
Bye. Thank you.